Well, greetings. I'm Dr. Avis Williams, the proud superintendent of NOLA Public Schools, and this is our next edition of Talk Soup. I've got with me Courtney Washington, our Chief Communications Officer. How are you?
I'm doing great, Doc, and hello, NOLA PS community. It's so great to be here with you with another episode of Talk Soup.
Absolutely. And we've got Mary Garden here with us today, and she is our Chief School Enrollment Officer. And so guess what we're talking about today? Enrollment. Before we get to that, Courtney, I really want to address something that's truly top of mind for me and a lot of members of our community. Earlier this week, we did have a special called board meeting to address charter renewal. And during that meeting, Raphael Simmons, who is our chief for portfolio innovation and accountability, he shared the process that we use for this and shared some data points and also discussed all of the schools that were up for renewal. And we know some of them were automatically renewed because they qualified for just automatic renewal. And then there were several schools that had to go through a comprehensive evaluation process, which was a really deep dive with data and site visits and lots of conversations. And in the process of doing all of that, the result of it is me making a recommendation. And on Tuesday of this week, I did make the recommendation to renew 2 of our schools and to non-renew 1. And that was Encore Charter School. And I just want to say, first of all, to the Encore community that we are here to support you through the process in terms of what happens next. And I also want to say that I've been on both sides of the school closure decision. My first principalship was an elementary school, and it ended up being closed and consolidated with another school. And I know how hard it is. This was a school that had existed for around 60 years. I had teachers who had taught at the same school for over 30 years. So you can imagine the challenges with that. And then, as superintendent, I've also been in a position in another district where school closure had to happen. It's never easy. Right. And it's not something that I take lightly because of the experiences I've had. And also just because I get it, schools are like families. Right. And I certainly understand how challenging it is when something like this happens and you have to regroup and figure out, how to move forward from that. And so I just want to say to the Encore family that we're here to support you through the process. And we want to make sure you've got all the best information on what happens next. Because, for a parent, your baby is everything, your children are everything. And I get that. And you want them to be happy, well-adjusted, and you absolutely want them to get the best education possible. And so one of the things that I want us to talk about today is, what happens next. Right. We know that we have what's called closing school priority. And I want to make sure that our families understand what that means, but also that they just understand the entire process and how they can get additional supports that they may need. And that's why we have Mary here today. I guess we can just dive in, Mary. Can you first of all just kind of explain what the enrollment process is, where we are right now in terms of main round? And then I also want to talk about the specifics around our Encore family.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Williams. And yes, I'd be happy to do that. I can walk through our process generally for enrollment in NOLA Public Schools, and I'm happy to speak specifically to the circumstances for closing school priority and what that will mean for our Encore families. So main round, as you know, we have the New Orleans Common Application process. We launch what we call a main round, which is the single best opportunity and the first opportunity to apply for a new school for the following school year. And that round is happening right now for kindergarten through 12th grade seats. So this round opened on November 7th of this year. It will close on January 20th of 2023. So there's still time to go. I do want to emphasize this is not a first come, first serve window to apply. What matters,
some people think that, don't they, Mary? Some people think that if they don't do it at the beginning of the window opening, that their chances are decreased, but that's not true, right?
That is not true. As a matter of fact, folks could apply at the last minute, and it is not any different than those who apply on that very first day. I also want to say, if families submit an application and then change their minds for whatever reason, either want to change the schools they've ranked or withdraw their application completely to stay at their school, they're welcome to do that. If we have 5 applications for one child, we will always use the last one. So whatever the last one submitted on or before the deadline of January 20th, 2023 is what will be used. So right now, families can go in and submit those applications. School staff are available to be helpful. There is also a lot of information available on our website. There's a tool that families can use to learn more about each of the schools in the city that are available, with the grade levels and information about those schools, information there on where to apply. Also a help desk. We answer questions every day, all day, from families that come in through our help desk system. We also operate 3 family resource centers for parents who might want to receive in-person support for submitting this application. Those centers are located at the Gaudet facility on Hain Boulevard, at Mahalia Jackson Elementary in Central City, and at the NOLA Public Schools Central Office on the West Bank, just off General de Gaulle. So those three facilities are open for in-person support with language assistance available. In addition to that, of course, there's the help desk and email and information on the website. So that window is open now. I do want to, in answer to your question specifically about what closing school priority means and what Encore families can anticipate, is that we'll be working very closely with the Encore community, the staff and families at Encore, to make sure that parents have information that they need about the application process. We're working with the school to set up a time to be there in person to talk about it, and we'll continue that support through the main round application and beyond to ensure that students are able to select a seat. What closing school priority means is that when we run our match, which is the process that NOLA Public Schools runs after the closing of main round, to give each applicant their single best offer for an available seat in the system for the next year for that child.
Gotcha.
There are different priorities that come into effect when we run that match. For example, siblings. Most schools offer a sibling priority, where a sibling would get an advantage getting into a school. For example, we also have some neighborhood priorities to try to make it a slight priority for families who live close to a building to go to that school if they choose to. Closing school priority is at the top of the list. What that means is families at Encore, because their school is closing, will have first access to available seats at non-entry level grades. I do want to specify that. That means for not kindergarten and not 9th grade. So for all of the non-terminal, we call them, so all the grades that would have gone back to Encore the following year in kindergarten through 8th grade, those kindergarten through 7th graders will receive the closing school priority for the next year. So what matters is that families submit an application during this round. And this applies to Encore families, but also every family. This is the best opportunity to get an available seat. There'll continue to be opportunities through the summer and up until school starts. Of course, we'll make it possible for families to continue to enroll, but this is the single best opportunity.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if I do it today or January 19th, but it does matter if I wait until after January 20th, right?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
that is exactly right.
And that's good to know, because one of the word on the street was, around the idea of missing it or waiting until the end of the actual round. And so we do want to demystify that as long as you're within that window, you'll be fine in terms of being placed at a school. So
absolutely. And Dr. Williams, I would like to emphasize something though. Families with a guarantee who are at a school and want to stay at that school, should not apply. If
Gotcha.
you are in third grade at a school that offers fourth grade and you want to stay there, you do not need to apply. If you apply out and get that school, you would lose your current seat. So just a reminder that families who are in a school where they want to stay and their school offers their next grade should not complete an application.
Gotcha. And that's a good point to make, because, even though this is available for everybody, everybody does not need to engage at this point. So if you're staying at your school, don't apply.
Correct.
Right. I mean, and the same would apply, I guess, if with a sibling priority, if let's say if I'm a family and I've got a third grader, but then I've got another child that's going into kindergarten, I would apply for that kindergarten student, but I wouldn't have to worry about the third grader if I wanted my baby to stay in that same school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good deal. Good deal. Yeah. And that's great information. And I love the fact that we've got the family resource centers and the helpline available. And I've heard great responses from families when they do, have questions, and, whether it's a language situation or even technology. We live with technology in terms of emailing and social media, but not everybody does, and so even just navigating the process from a technology standpoint, our family resource center and the helpline are available to assist families that way. So that's good to know. And again, I just want to remind our Encore family that you do get that closing school priority, and also any additional supports that you need, we can make available through our family resource center and the helpline. I also want to, I know we give shout outs and recognize partners, but I want to recognize New Schools of New Orleans, because they're also helping us to help through this process for teachers and staff. And we'll be sharing more information directly with the Encore teachers and staff about what those supports can look like, because again, I certainly understand, being in this space right now where, we've got the remainder of the school year to go. We want to, as much as possible, support through this and make this as, I guess, remove some of the gray areas, remove some of the unknowns, and help families and our teachers and staff to navigate between now and the end of the school year.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mary, for that clarification that you provided. And thank you, Doc, for what you've shared. And I wanted to follow back up with some of the things that you mentioned, Mary, that helped us. Now, we've been sharing that on our social media accounts. But just in case you may have missed it, that's NOLA.ps/help desk. And just type that in and it'll send you directly to the page to get some support for enrollment. And then also enroll NOLA. ps.com is the website that you can go to get more information about NCAP and to begin the enrollment process. So I want to make sure you guys have that information.
January 20th, that's the date that we need to keep in mind. And I love that you can do multiple ones, because I get that part too, that you may submit an application now, and then over the holidays, maybe you see something at another school that you're interested in, and you can submit again. And I'm sure we have families that do that from time to time, to do multiple applications, and the process is going to be the same, whether I do it now or in mid-January, right, Mary? I mean, it's not, the process doesn't change based on that time frame or that window. Yeah. All right. Well, that's great information. And, another thing that we're working on, and I so appreciate your leadership with this, Mary, is a solution circle. And you all know that over the last few months, I was engaged with the ABC tour, which was Dr. Avis's Beignets and Conversations. I kind of miss those beignets a little bit. And the whole point was to engage the community and find out about challenges and celebrations, and, ask some key questions. And one thing that came up over and over and over again was the enrollment system. And some of it was questions about it. Some people didn't understand understand it, or it felt like it wasn't working. And so I know we've begun the process of really digging deep and kind of pulling back some layers. One thing that I always want to make sure is that we're solving for the right problem, right? Just say, I don't like the enrollment system or it doesn't work. That's not enough. And so the solution circle has helped us to begin to unpack what some of the challenges are. So Mary, can you talk a little bit about where we are in that process and what our next steps will be?
Yes, absolutely. So yes, we've had a solution circle tackling some of these questions of enrollment in response to your, the superintendent's beignets and coffee. We all miss the beignets. We got the leftovers sometimes.
Right.
I know it.
But what's been happening has been very productive. The group has generated a list of very concrete recommendations given our system now in response to those conversations that came out of the ABC tour. The participants in the solution circle are still reviewing their final draft of recommendations with each other. So that's still forthcoming. But I can say, having, listened in on these, what some of the ideas that have already come forth are, and they've been very helpful. One is something, just the language of main round. And you've heard me use it here today. Like, main round is like the primary window for applying for a NOLA public school seat if you want a new one for the next year. And some of the feedback was, well, what does main round mean? And so, it's some feedback that some of us who use the words every day start to not notice as much. So it was very helpful. Some of the other examples were as specific as a sign that is more clear at a family resource center. Maybe a sign is sort of hard to see, and if it were more easy to see, that would be helpful. Another conversation that happened a lot was just more information about the schools themselves. So we have a School Explorer tool that has a lot of great information. But what some of the members of the Solution Circle said they would like to hear is just more about school climate, like why do people love their school? And while many of the schools have that information available, a lot of that isn't all available in one place. So just figuring out how to connect parents and families to more types of information about schools to help them make their choices. So I've appreciated the participants. It's been a nice blend of parents and community members, and it's been a really useful process. So we appreciate the members and we look forward to acting on their recommendations. So.
Yeah, I think that's great. So yeah, definitely look to hear more about what we're doing to address people's questions and concerns around our NCAP. So I'm looking forward to hearing it too. And again, I definitely appreciate your leadership in that. And Courtney, that's all I have. It's the holidays are approaching, so we may only have one more episode of Talk Soup, I think, before the holiday break. And if there are any burning questions or something that the community wants us to address, unless we already have something scheduled, Courtney, I don't want to speak too soon.
No, we don't. But to your point, if there is anything that you do want us to touch on, the word on the street, or if you just have some more questions that we can possibly support you with, of course, that's email communications@nolapublicschools.com. And again, that's communications@nolapublicschools.com, and we'll help to filter or answer your questions as best that we can. Now, I have one announcement. Of course, if you've been following us on social media and have been participating in our previous board meetings, you know about the redistricting process that our school district is currently going through. So I still want to ensure that the community knows that they are part of this process and that their input will help to inform those redrawn lines. And so if you've missed any of the community meetings, that is okay. The videos and the presentations are on our website at nolapublicschools.com. You can also use that engagement portal to redraw some of the lines that you think should be redrawn or redrawn based off of what you want to see. And that will be used to help produce some draft maps for our board to vote on next year. So again, go to nolapublicschools.com, scroll down, you'll see a space that says NOLA Public Schools redistricting process. Click read more and it'll take you to another page with the engagement tool and a replay of the presentations. And there will be another round of community meetings. So just in case you missed that community meeting for your district, next year we'll start another round of community meetings and we'll be sure to share that information with you. But in the meantime, check that website out and engage with us.
Yep, I love it. I love it. And, and I do encourage the community to get involved, participate with us. We're all in this together and we're stronger together.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that there's still some opportunities for that. So this is such a busy time of year, the fall period, with school just starting back, and then it's like the holidays come before you blink, right? I mean, it's like, how did we get to December this quickly? So I'm glad to know that there are still opportunities to engage. So please check out our website, social media, and get involved. And with that, I want to say thank you again, Mary, for your expertise and your leadership. And I definitely look forward to supporting families as we move through the coming school year, the rest of the school year. And again, to our Encore family, please take advantage of any of the supports. And if there are some supports that you need that aren't available, let us know, because we have partnerships and resources that we can certainly make available, because we do want to make this process as smooth as it can be. And again, understanding that it's hard, but we're here for you, and again, look forward to supporting you. And I think that's it, Courtney.
That is all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We look forward to having you tuning in next time. Bye-bye.
All righty. Thank you. See you next time.